What's up, guys? Welcome to the PITT Game Day postgame. So, Mason Spesky, your host. Tonight, we are going to recap what was the first loss of Pitt's season, as we fell tonight 48-25 at the hands of the SMU Mustangs. It was truly a tough game from the beginning. We didn't look good at all tonight, and it sucked. This whole entire game just sucked. I mean, sorry for the language there, but it just wasn't pretty. Nobody really played well, I felt, tonight. And from the beginning, I mean, we didn't look bad like at the first start, because we actually almost got an interception on the first play. And I kind of felt the game might be going our way somewhat until SMU constantly started to take advantage of all the missed tackles that we had. Like, we missed several tackles. That was very unfortunate, and I feel that's what hurt us a lot. Like, we couldn't tackle for anything. And I mean, this is a defense that picked off Kyle McCord, who's a really good quarterback, 5 times last week. 3 of those were pick sixes, but this one didn't feel right. Something was off with this team tonight. I mean, look, I do get it. We may have gone lucky earlier this year, but I do think we have grit. It was a combination of luck and grit, some of those ones we had this year against Cincinnati, WVU, and Cal. We're a good football team. We really are a good football team. This is just a bad night. I mean, look at Notre Dame. They lost to Northern Illinois. If I had to pick a game to lose, I would much rather lose to SMU in Dallas against a good quality football team than lose to Northern Illinois on my home field. So yeah, I mean, it's tough, but I mean, you have to look at it some ways like that. So this is a tough sport. This is a super tough sport. I'm just gonna say, I mean, like, look, Penn State, they just seemingly cannot beat Ohio State. Texas A&M lost to South Carolina. It matters how you play every game. Like, it's really hard to be a one-loss team, let alone even a 2-loss, let alone being defeated. So, I mean, I give a lot of credit to Oregon, because I feel like after what we saw today and at the end of this day, they are truly the best team in college football. There is no doubt in my mind about that. I mean, Georgia looked shaky, but they pulled away. Penn State, obviously, as we all know, lost. Ohio State won, but I don't think they're the best team, because Oregon obviously beat them. Texas is good, but they're not the best. The only other teams you could really make arguments here for number one, Indiana, Miami, and BYU. I think Indiana's a really good football team. But do I think they get the job done against Ohio State? Probably not. If they do, they deserve to be in the playoff. I mean, they probably are already going to make the college football playoff, more likely than not. So, I mean, I think it's a tough sport. And sometimes you have to do what Indiana did. Now, by no means am I suggesting to fire Pat Narduzzi. By no means am I suggesting that. He's had a phenomenal year. I love him as a coach, and I hope he's here for the long run, to be honest. I hope he's the head football coach here for the next 8 to 10 years, at least. Maybe even longer. And I think Cade Bell is a phenomenal offensive coordinator who is truly a genius and magical. And I think Eli Holstein is the real deal. If we could keep all 3 of them around, we're going to be really stinking good next year. I mean, let's look at 2 other ACC teams. We're going to go back to 2021. The 2021 Florida State Seminoles were 5-7, missed the bowl game. 2022, they went 8-4. Won some, I think it was the Cheez-It Bowl they won against Oklahoma. And then last year, they were impressive. Now, granted, nobody wants to be like Florida State this year. They're even worse than Pitt was last year, I feel. But that was the 3-year turnaround you won. Look at this year's Miami. 2022, they went 5-7, missed a bowl game. 2023, 7-6. I think they lost the Pinstripe Bowl to Rutgers, maybe. And look this year, they're probably going to win the ACC. That can be the 2025 Panthers if we keep everyone together, which I think we will. So I'm very impressed by the turnaround. I'm very impressed. This was supposed to be, remember, just put it in perspective. Remember like this. This was a year where nobody expected us to compete. Most magazines and books I read said that we were not going to be bowl eligible. I remember on the way on our plane to Italy, and even in the hotel in Italy, I was reading a college football magazine. And they did not have us bowl eligible. And that was a recurring theme. More places I read stuff and looked at said we were not going to be bowling. Very few said we would be bowling. And look, we're 7-1. We already clinched a bowl game prior to November. In fact, we were one of the first teams to clinch a bowl. So while this does sting, because I did hope to play in the ACC Championship, it's on my birthday, and I wish we would have played in it. And while all hope may not be lost, it's probably not going to happen because SMU still has, well, unless Miami loses. Which they might because they choke, or they choke every year. So hope for the best there, but I doubt it. SMU still, they have Boston College or at Virginia and Cal. They're going to be in the ACC Championship. And honestly, good for them. Nobody wanted them in the ACC, and they're in the ACC, and they're making noise. If it's SMU and Miami in the ACC Championship, I want SMU to destroy those frauds. I have nothing against SMU, if I'm being honest with you. I have nothing against them. I'm happy they're in the ACC, unlike Florida State. But, yeah, we could have obviously played much better, but you guys still have to remember, this team is young. This is the first year, and, yeah. So things will get better. This team's on the right track. The future is very bright, and that's all I have to say. Obviously, like I said, it could have went better, but just remember, this is a good team. This is a nice environment. SMU is super good, and just remember that. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this. Obviously it stings to lose, but think about it. We're going to a bowl game. We've surpassed the expectations. At this point, these last 4 games, it's just about building, learning, and most importantly, more important than anything, number 1, having fun. That's what the focus needs to be the rest of the year. Number 1, just having fun. Clemson lost tonight, so while it may be a special game, it's not going to mean as much. Because it's more likely than not going to be SMU and Miami. Go Ponies in that game, by the way, like I just said. But, yeah. So I would like to see us, obviously I want us to go 4-0, because if we go 4-0, we still have a legit shot at the playoff, and we probably would get in, but I don't know. But even like 2-2 for N1 would be good. So yeah, just keep optimistic about the future. It's been a great season. I can't wait to get back at it next week. We play Virginia. It's a pretty good football team. 4-4, they're on the uppity up. So we'll have to see what happens with Virginia. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Have a good one. Take care. Stay safe. And as always, peace. See you guys next week for Virginia.